I'm sure we all know that feeling of getting habits put together, making a plan, no more procrastinating. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to do what I need to do every day. And I'm going to go for my walks in the morning. I'm going to do more exercise. I want to drink more water. I'm going to make more content. I'm going to play a certain thing or do a certain thing. There's all sorts of little plans we create, and 95% of them don't go through. Making new habits is kind of like a New Year's resolution. You kind of make it midway through January and then it's gone. I believe the psychological studies show that it takes 30 days to actually completely create a habit from scratch. If you do something consistently 30 days straight, then you have successfully created a habit on average. It makes it easier to continue doing it. My problem with a lot of things that I want to be more consistent at and stop procrastinating towards is that I can't get to that 30-day mark. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can understand what I'm saying here. I want to go for more walks. I want to drink more water. I want to be more consistent with content creation. I want to get myself in a better position. I've done a couple live streams, only on TikTok though, the TikTok live, and making content on the TikTok has been a lot more fun and easy just because it's on my frickin' phone. It's not at my computer, when I go to do things during the day with the wife and the kids and the job. It's a little bit different to make stuff on TikTok. It's way easier. So my consistency with YouTube content, especially commentary videos, has completely cratered. And that's 100% on me just because I can't keep a habit. And it's hard. New habits are really hard to create. And sometimes it's hard to even keep it going, even when maybe you have made it to that 30-day mark and you just can't hammer it home. Like I said, a lot of folks, their New Year's resolutions are to go to the gym. So you'll see places like Planet Fitness on New Year's Day have this massive surge of subscriptions and memberships. And then by the end of January or midway through February, most of those memberships have been canceled because that's exactly what happens. And that's a microcosm of what happens every single day in a lot of our minds when we're trying to create those new habits. It's difficult, whether you want to eat better, you want to sleep better, you want to read more books, you want to do more exercise, you want to learn more, you want to go back to school, you want to find a job that pays you more or you're more talented at. There's a lot of things that bang around in your head and they get in the way constantly. And I apologize, I don't have a concrete solution. I'm basically just talking to you guys about what's going through my head here. It's tough. I sympathize with folks that are trying to create new habits. I sympathize with folks that are trying to be more consistent, procrastinate less, maybe push a little harder. If you work a position where you make like commission or sales, I'm sure you understand that feeling of you're hyping yourself up going to work, and then when you get there and you either don't get any sales or there's no one to talk to, it just completely just drops the floor from underneath you. As that's a good example is a sales position. You hype yourself up, you get your coffee, you go to work, you listen to some tunes, you're cranking some music, and you get there and there's no one there. And then you get one person, they say no, and a couple hours go by and there's no one else to talk to. It's hard to stay consistent in that scenario. And there's a lot of other scenarios too where, you want to eat healthy, but, certain foods are way more tasty than others, or you have a certain habit. For me, fast food's a big one. I eat a lot more McDonald's than I should, honestly. Maybe it's because as a kid, my parents didn't let me have it, and that's a big thing. Whatever you're not allowed to have as a kid can come back as a habit later in life. Darker sodas, that's a big one too. Gotta stop drinking as much of those. Trying to drink more sweet tea and water. I predominantly should be drinking water, but I'll take the victory in drinking more sweet tea than, Pepsi or Dr. Pepper, even though I still drink them. It's hard to stay consistent, but yeah, the habits are a pain in the absolute ass, honestly. Like, creating a new habit is like pulling freaking teeth. There's nothing harder than doing it, especially from a psychological standpoint, because you're fighting against the status quo. Like, you're telling your brain, no, this is how we're doing things now. Your brain already has a habit or doesn't have a habit, so it's going to reject it, It's a line of code the computer's not going to understand until you get it to understand it. Your brain operates off of if-then statements, a lot like a computer. If I'm hungry, then I'm going to go get food that I want to eat. What do I want to eat? Oh, I like fast food. I like cheeseburgers, french fries, hot dogs. I like pretzels, Annie Ann's, the goat. There's a lot of things that my brain immediately goes towards instead of maybe just a simple ham and cheese sandwich with, a better style bread than the cheap stuff, or maybe something with more fruits and vegetables in it. Maybe a smoothie of some kind, even though they don't taste very good. A protein shake, maybe anything that is just marginally more healthy as an alternative to the junk we eat now. And that kind of goes into a different topic I might talk about one day. Is that the absolute junk food epidemic in America and how we're set up for failure when we try to eat healthier. But I guess that kind of does feed into the point of the video, is that even if in a situation where you're trying to eat healthier, everything is kind of set up to fight against you, just like your brain will when starting a new habit. It's hard to do. And it's easy for me to just sit here and be an armchair psychologist and say, just buck up and do it, sunshine, because that would be hypocritical. I can't do it either. I'm really not sure how to get myself to actually create consistent habits, because a lot of our brains go off of instant gratification, and if we don't get an immediate result, we kind of give up on it. Kind of like when you post a TikTok, if you don't get any views, you just delete it and re-upload it. Just get rid of it. No one liked it. It bombed. It's that kind of social media-driven, algorithm-based thinking has kind of warped our brains into thinking that when we start a habit, we're expecting immediate results. And I think that's what gets me, honestly, is I'm looking for more immediate results than long-term. I have more of a short-term attention span when it comes to long-term consistency, and maybe that's what I need to work on. Maybe I need to buckle down and understand that I'm not going to see results till 30, 60, even 90 days from now, but I have to do it every single day. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Are there habits you're trying to start that you can't? Do you have any advice for someone who wants to be more consistent with it, whether it's anything from a job to content creation to exercise, eating healthy, going to therapy, journaling, and anything like that requires an established routine? It's difficult. And having children definitely shows me that establishing routines is possible, but also a complete pain in the ass. So, I don't know. Maybe just being a new dad has kind of thrown my brain out of whack, and I have so many things to worry about that I can't focus on going for a morning walk or drinking something besides soda because I need that caffeine. I'm getting a headache because the kids kept me up all night. Who knows? But let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.